Yo, 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 Big Sir, back in the building. What we on, episode 11? Man, time flying. Listen, we gonna get straight to it. We have the man, the myth. It's a new collab that the Village and AJ and the Cool Kids decided to do on this podcast journey. So, without further ado, Mr. Antonio Tolson, author of Father's Voice?
Yeah,
Right?
Father's Voice, Raising a Son with Autism.
AJ and the Cool Kids Foundation. Yeah, AJ and the Cool Kids Foundation. We collabing, man. And the village is continuing. We're thriving, and we're gonna keep building. So, Tonio, we got to come up with a stage name from you. Don't think about it right now, but we got to think of something smooth, bro. I don't know what you think.
I like that. We're gonna have to talk when this over with. Or I have to think of.
I like, I can call you Tonio. We can call you AT. What you like?
Most people call me AJ.
Oh, they call you AJ.
Tone,
Okay.
Tonio,
Okay.
and whatever works.
That's what's up. Okay. All right. We'll figure something out. But man, I am so glad, bro, that you we had this conversation and you looked at it and said, "Hey, bro, like I think this would be a good move for us to collab." So I'm excited about moving forward and all the things that we got going on to keep this community building, bro. So
Yes, sir.
You want to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about yourself. I know you running it back a little bit. You was on here a couple months ago, but let the people know, what you got going on and, how's everything going?
Everything's good, man. I'm Antonio, originally born and raised in Washington, D.C. I moved here in 2013 to Charlotte. My son got diagnosed with autism in 2019, and I decided, the way the ABA therapist treated us when she came to my house, I'm like, yo, like, if we're being treated like this, how many other families are being treated like this? I got to do something about it. We've been doing our thing since 2021.
Yeah, you got some cool stuff going on too out there in Charlotte, man.
I appreciate it.
Talk to us a little bit about, you just had your autism walk a few months ago. I know you got some stuff coming up. Don't you got the gala coming up in a few months?
Yeah, that's in August.
Okay.
Yeah, it's August 8th.
It's right around the corner.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Well, we can plug everything once we get towards the end of the episode. But I think it's good for us to get back to what the village is originally about, man. Just dads telling a story, being real, being authentic, and it just so happened it's Men's Mental Health Month, and I think we got our own stuff going on, right? And mentally, we ask this question like, "How you doing, bro?" And I think we don't ask it enough, right? So I'm gonna ask you mentally, bro. Like, how are you? With everything that you got going on. Be raw about it, bro. This is we not sugarcoating anything. So just really want to know how you doing as a person because again, we don't do it enough as brothers.
I ain't gonna lie, man. First couple of months, I wasn't doing that great. But, I've been, I changed my diet. I started exercising more, surrounding myself around like-minded individuals. And I can honestly say the past month, I'm starting to feel like myself again. I'm doing good, man.
Okay.
I'm doing good.
So talk about some of the things that, the traits, some of the characteristics that had you in that place, right? I mean, we are autism fathers. So the day-to-day is plus working, all the things we have in front of us, what kind of played a part into some of the things you were dealing with?
I know most people would say isolation, not really want to be around people. with me being a loner and, me being by myself for the most part, if I'm not with my wife and my son, that's regular for me. But, I know myself so much. I know just something was off. I can't tell you exactly what it was, but I definitely wasn't feeling like myself. Always, if I had to say one thing, probably always laying in the bed, not really want to do nothing for real. If I did do something, it would be go to work and come back home. Not really going out on the weekend, really. Not even, to do normal stuff that I do. I just know myself. I'm that in tune with myself that I know when something's off. And I went to the doctor and they're like, yo, you got high cholesterol. If you can, what are you doing? Are you active? And I'm like, nah, I'm not really doing nothing. I'm not doing anything right now. And they're like, well,
Right.
I would suggest that, even if it's walking, I suggest you do something. And I'm the type of person where I don't like being told what to do. I've been like that since I was a kid. So I
I don't think
realized
nobody do,
that,
Tonyo, especially as a man. Yeah.
I mean, there's some people, that like following the rules. I do just
Right.
enough to stay out the IRS here and to stay out of jail. But I be, I move to the beat of my own drum, bro. If it don't feel good to me, more than likely I ain't doing it.
Nah, I think, I think us as men, we all do that, right? We kind of, we move, like you said, in the beat of our own drum, but at the same time, we put stuff to the side and we compartmentalize, right? And we're very, very good at that. So, I could say, myself as
That's how we was
the last
raised.
few months, bro, like I've been going through a lot, you know what I'm saying, mentally. So I think finding outlets that are necessary is essential to not just our health, but our overall mental health. Because we deal with a lot. You know,
Hmm.
especially as autism dads, autism families, like it's nonstop from therapies to school to you name it, to things personally that you could be going through. For me, these last few months, it's something I never really told anybody about, man. But we just finalized a lawsuit from my son's case. He was abused at daycare 3 years ago. And we're still, matter of fact, we still going through it, bro. But January, we got the final say and all the other stuff, but it's still a process, right? And I think about it as to I go back to that day and I go back to that time 3 years ago when I found out. And people say, you hear it, Tonio. People say, you see all the things coming up, with all the things that happened in Louisville, Kentucky, with the teacher beating on that little boy and his mom having the camera in there. And you read some of the comments and everybody got their opinion, right? Everybody's entitled to their own opinion. But I think at the end of the day, I know myself. And that was probably one of the hardest times of my life because I'm a strategic thinker, but at the same time, you fuck with my son, like I just any of my kids, my family is red, you know? And it was nothing but God that I was in Florida when I found out about it. And it was after hours from my wife that CPS came to our door and told us that. But when I got home, bro, like that was probably the hardest week of my life because I thought about all different types of things. And so all these thoughts and everything just came back up a few months ago. And I look back and I think about it, I'm like, man, how did I get past that without without really tearing like doing something that I know I shouldn't have been doing? And that's risking my life and risking my kids' future for an instant gratification that isn't really gonna make me feel better. If I go beat this woman up, or if I go terrorize this woman's house or terrorize this school, what is it? I had to think about that in the midst of being angry. But you know what I did? I was able to call some people that I that are in my circle that really calm me down. And for me, hey, D, you gotta stop. But yeah, I was able to lean on some people, man. But all those emotions came back, and it really put me in a dark place, man. Even though I was excited for it to be done, the biggest thing for me was really just being in that place again and going through those emotions. It took me to a place that I didn't want to be back in. So for me, getting in the gym, trying to find time for myself to kind of regulate, man, because it does get hard. It does get tough mentally because you can't act out, you can't lash out the way that you want to because you got to think about your child as well. So for us, to get through this process and to where we're at today is it's just a testimony of our faith and our trying and understanding of what it is that's really going on and what we're destined to do and what we're put on this earth, and that is to protect our son at all costs. So we just went at a different route, right? Legal is the best way to go, keeps you out of trouble, keeps you out of all the things that you need to do. It may not be what you want, but I think at the end of the day, we understood the bigger picture. And so for that, I'm gonna be forever grateful, to our legal team that was able to handle it and get us the justice that we needed. But it was a trying, and it still is, just thinking about it. But I think a lot of times, as autism dads, we do things silo. We do things on our own, as dads, period. That's what we do. But when you add all the things on top of what autism dads have to deal with when it comes to, the different therapies that our children are attending, the school, the different milestones, like it's a nonstop journey that you can never really turn your brain off. And so, it can affect not just you mentally, but it can affect your family. It can affect your marriage. It can affect, your livelihood because there are times where, you need that space. You need that opportunity to just kind of reconnect just with yourself. Because at the end of the day, you have to be able to. You good, big dog?
Yeah, I'm good. Can you hear me?
Tonyo. Yeah, we
Can you
can hear
hear
you
me?
now. You good?
All right. Yeah.
Okay. Nah, man, I'm just talking about just, how we, when it comes to our mental health as men, especially, dads, but being autism dads, we're no different than a regular dad, but we are in a sense, right? Because our minds, our brains, they never turn off because we're
Mhm.
always either on defense mode or protect mode.
Mhm.
And finding those outlets and those opportunities to just kind of re-regulate yourself physically and mentally, is something that we really have to get a grasp on. So that's why I want to start this whole segment off on really asking like how are you doing? How physically, mentally are you and how is your family? Because, dealing with family dynamics that are different is challenging. And I think a lot of people don't understand that who aren't within the community, but the people that are, they get it. Is that it's not easy, And I think if you don't have a partnership, if you don't have an understanding of respecting your spouse's time, respecting your spouse's mind, and giving them the opportunity to regulate as well, that's why you see some of the things that you see when it comes to high divorce rates within special needs families. Because, mom's doing everything, dad really isn't doing anything. He's just there, or vice versa. I've come upon more single dads with children on the spectrum or special needs than I think I probably would have ever thought. So at the end of the day, I look at it and say, yeah, he in his car. What you think? But yeah, man, we just finalized some things, on my son's case, and I think it's been taxing, bro. Because it's something I really ain't publicly talked about as much.
Mhm.
My son was physically and verbally abused at a daycare, man, and it's been 3 years, man, that we've been fighting this. And every time I don't like talking about it, so it's like every time we meet with the lawyers and all this other stuff, we got to bring it back up. And so now everything has just kind of been back at the forefront. And so it just kind of put me in a different place, in a place where I don't like, because I start seeing red again. I start, feeling like I failed as a father, as a protector, like all those things, man. So I really had to get back into a routine, working out, like you said. I start walking, that's really been like my thing right now, bro. I walk 3 miles, 3, 4 times a week. You know what I'm saying? Like, but it just gives me that time to myself to where I could just process all the thoughts in my head. You know what I mean? Because I think you look at people's, thoughts and opinions on child abuse and all the other stuff, man, whether it be in a daycare, school, etc. Like people don't really know until you actually go through something, bro.
Mhm.
And as much as you want to see red and you want blood or whatever the case may be, man, it's really not realistic when you're dealing with a child that or you have kids that are on the spectrum because what good are you if you're not here?
Yeah, you got to remember that a 5-second decision can give you 20 years in prison, bro.
Exactly. And so for me, it's like, one of those things where I just that's why I really never talk to too many people about it because not everybody really gonna understand. Yes, I thought about all that shit.
Better yet, even care, man. I've learned that yes, people know and are aware what autism is and some of the stuff we go through as parents, but
Right.
unless you really live in this life, you can't tell me how to feel, how to think.
Nah. Or how to act or how to move
None of
because
that.
yeah. Cause I'm strategic, man. So it's like, I'm a thinker. I like to think things out and mad or not, and I think for me, it just really put me in a place where that was probably the biggest obstacle in my life that I had to deal with, bro, because I had to make decisions that I knew a decision that was gonna make me feel good, but I also had a decision to make that, hey, if you do this shit, ain't no coming back. You
And
know what
your
I mean?
kids and
Like
your kids and your wife and your family need you, bro.
exactly, exactly, and it's in both parties. You know what I'm saying? Like it's me, my wife. My wife in Louisiana, she a firecracker, bro.
And believe
So
me,
it
man,
was
it's easier said than done, man.
it
It's
is.
easy.
It is.
It takes a whole lot of healing. It takes a whole lot of discipline.
It does.
It takes all those things, especially when it comes to my wife and my child. I don't care about none of that.
Right.
You could say whatever to me, whatever. I don't care. As long as you don't physically, I feel like you're causing bodily harm to me or my family. I don't care what you say about me. Just don't put your hands on me.
Right. And I think from my standpoint, man, it's, and it's why I say, like, I feel like, I failed as a father because I wasn't there. You know what I mean? Like
Nah, man.
I was in Florida
Nah,
when I
bro.
found out. And no, I
Nah,
know
man.
it's that's just these just the thoughts and emotions that I found, when I found out, that was tough, bro, because I'm nowhere near to comfort, console, anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm on my way from a work trip and it's like I can't get there fast enough.
And
Can't
I'm
get
not
there fast enough to protect or keep,
and I'm not
any
and
of that
I
stuff, man.
and I didn't say that to neglect how you feel. What I actually was let me put more context on what
No, no,
I was
I didn't
saying
think
when
you
I
were
when
saying
I
it like
said
that.
that.
I didn't think
So
it man, I'd have cussed you out if I thought you were trying
just
to call me a failure.
just hear me out, bro. Just hear me out.
Nah,
First, I wouldn't do that. Secondly, you do them the same way they do us. You destroy their life with paperwork. That's what you do. You document everything. When we got it,
mm,
when whoever got a complaint on us, they start filing papers, keeping receipts, doing
and that's what
different
you gotta
stuff.
do, man. I
That's what
mean,
you got to do.
yeah, we at that age, man, I ain't
You
listen,
got to push
bro,
that pen, man.
like,
'Cause, I
if
mean,
it
you got a podcast to run. You got a foundation to run. You got
exactly,
people that love and depend on you. You know what I'm saying? You got to be here, man. You
yeah,
ain't no good if you went through with your thoughts. Now this lady's it was two people gone. The person who in the box and you in the jail cell, and both families are
exactly,
grieving.
exactly,
That
and that wasn't an option, you know what I mean?
nah.
So, like you said, paperwork is the best work, when it comes
And it may
to
sound corny and cliche because
it just is what
Lord
it is,
knows,
bro.
bro,
It
I
is
didn't,
what it
I
is.
didn't, I didn't have these feelings when I was in my early 20s. Nah, we're not going like
Nah,
that.
'cause we knew there's no way in my 20s, I coulda handled that because I just
Mm-hmm.
popped off. You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
just popped off and
yeah,
I'd have had to deal with the consequences, right? But I think,
exactly. But now we men with
yeah,
families and
we grown men
responsibilities.
with families, with careers, those type of things that we got too much to lose, man.
That's
We got
right.
way too much to lose. So I'm appreciative of that moment, right? Because it taught not just me, but it taught my wife, and I feel like we got stronger as a unit. And that brings me to, like, kind of, since we on mental health and we talk about problems in the autism community when it comes to marriages and special needs families that deal with things like this on a day-to-day basis, and their relationships aren't where they need to be as a partnership to where they can sustain and build off of their lives together, not as individuals but together, right?
Mm-hmm.
And, that's a big stigma in our community, is that, the divorce rate is super high, because it could either be the mom, it could be the dad, like, who knows? Somebody can't handle it, right?
Right,
And
right.
they portray it as it's the men that are the reason why marriages don't work. But I don't know. Like, not saying that it is, but I've met some people that are single dads that are taking care of kids on the spectrum. So I want to get your thoughts, man. Like, how do you feel, as a partnership? What makes your bond so strong between you and Tanya that y'all can still be successful and still be loving as a family? Until you need to plug your.
I mean, we keep the main priority, which is our son.
But I think it's when you look at it from, yes, it's not about y'all, but it's about your son. But at the same time, how do you keep that relationship together? when it comes to you and Tanya?
I mean, communication, man. Communication for me, communication is the key.
Yeah.
When we strategically, go on, dates or whatever. Maybe when AJ's at camp, or maybe if he is at a sleepover at his friend house, whatever
So
it is.
you go on day dates.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Okay. Okay.
yes,
Okay.
yes, yes.
Nice.
We like to do different things. I mean, even when we go out of town, sometimes we bring AJ with us, and sometimes we don't.
Right.
I mean, as corny as it may sound, a lot of times we just end up bringing AJ with us, man.
Yeah.
Because I want him to experience some of the things that we experience as well, like getting on the airplane, going different places, doing different stuff.
Absolutely.
I don't think I'm the type of person where if you're gonna look, you're gonna look. I don't care what you're gonna say.
Nothing.
Exactly.
And if you do, then I got a
It is.
rebuttal for
Hey,
you, right?
it is
I'm
what
gonna
it
get on your
is.
ass.
Hey,
Yeah.
yep, that's right. It is what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And I want him to have those experiences. Me and Tanya strategically, carve out time for each other. We spend time with AJ individually and together. So he has both dynamics. I would say that I'm not saying all to say that it's perfect and that it always works out the way we want it to, but we do the best we can, bro.
And I think that is all you can do, bro. Like there's not a handbook, there's not a manual that is going to tell you how you can keep your marriage together while dealing with a special needs child, right?
And real quick, Will, I want to add another thing to that. Do you want to keep it together?
So that brings up a whole nother can of worms, right? Because it really talks about, and it really makes you have to dig deep and say, do I really like this person?
Oh, you definitely find out.
You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying? Like,
I believe that's why so many marriages were, the divorce rate was so high during COVID. Man, you had nowhere to go. You had to sit in the house with this particular individual, and I'm sure some stuff came up. Like,
exactly.
yo, I realized being in this
You
house
sitting there
with
looking
you,
at them
I
like,
don't like you.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It caused a lot of rift. But
I tolerate you, and I'm here for the kids.
so
I think that's what a lot of people realize. I think that's why like I said, the divorce rate was so high during COVID for
yeah,
those 2 years.
but that was an epidemic, right? To
Mm-hmm.
you, I look at COVID. COVID was an epidemic. You know what I mean? Like because of what actually happened, right? The deaths, the solitude, like everything, the mass, like that was something we've never seen before in our lives, right? Do you think that in today's time, because I looked on ChatGPT and I asked ChatGPT, is autism an epidemic? And
I
Chat
ain't
said,
never
yeah.
thought about that. Okay.
Chat said, yeah, it is.
Okay.
It's the highest it's ever been. Because if you look around us, bro, you look at all the things that from, the insurance frauds to like, I don't know, last time you checked, I don't know. My son goes to ABA. I've looked at those invoices. We just got an invoice from the last 6 months.
If I'm being if
And
I'm being honest, Will, and transparent with you, I haven't looked since AJ was 2, and that was in 2019. He's 9 now. So to be honest
yeah,
with you, I haven't looked at it since then. If I'm being honest.
bro. But it made me think about it because it's a hot topic, right? Autism
Mm-hmm.
is more visible, I think, than it's ever been in centuries, bro. And I think it has a lot to do with social media, it has a lot to do with government, etc. But the amount of money that these insurance companies and these ABA centers, these speech therapies, like, bro, it's enormous. They're making money hand over fist, right? And just imagine how many ABA centers are across the country. Just imagine how many are in your community. I know there's a lot in mine. So we're talking billions of dollars being made off of a diagnosis, right? And I know it kind of got off, about the whole relationship thing, but it really ties back to what you said about COVID being an epidemic and then autism being an epidemic. And then you as a family really understanding, like, do you even love or like your partner, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because of a diagnosis. And it's changed your whole dynamic. So you can't do some of the things that you envision in your marriage that you thought were going to be that you were going to be able to travel, you would do all these things, but the moment it stopped, you like, I can't do this no more because it's not the life I want to live. It's not what I chose to do. I married this person because of XYZ. But now you put in a situation where you either got to sink or swim. You got to find out, hey, can we do this thing called life together with our special needs child or with our dynamic being different? And you find out who's strong and who's not. So to hear you say, hey, me and Tanya, we do this, we do that, day dates. Yes, they're essential, bro, because you still like your wife, bro.
Mhm.
You're not gonna let a diagnosis deter how you and your wife love each other.
I mean, not only my wife, my son. Like, I mean, no matter what it is, bro. Like, I don't know, bro. I can't. Like I said, I try to do everything with AJ. Take him to football games,
Yeah.
basketball games, on the plane. I mean, it's got to the point where if somebody invite me and Tanya somewhere, like I said, as a couple or individually, they say yes, you can bring AJ because more than likely, if AJ can't come, I ain't come. I
He
ain't
ain't
going.
coming. I already know. We got a little lunch thing today, and it's a family thing. And, I wanted to, they said, hey, you can bring the kids. I'm like, okay, you said it. So I'm just letting you know, the whole Adams gang will be in attendance.
Man, I
And
got
I
to the point.
appreciate
I
that.
ain't gonna lie to you, man. I done got to the point where I like kicking it with my son more than I like kicking it with grown people, man.
But you know what? You said it at the beginning of the podcast. You know, that's just who you are, Tonio. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And there ain't nothing wrong with that. It's really not because you just don't know who's really for you. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
right.
Like, and I think that is I ain't gonna say it's sad, but it's kind of messed up, bro, because even with family,
People
friends,
just not genuine,
they
man.
just not
People not
genuine no more,
not
bro.
genuine. You don't know what people want. You don't know what people are. Ultra motives are. You don't know like none of that. Like you got to figure that out with grown people. I feel like kids they gonna tell you what they want. Hey, bro, I want some cookies. I want some ice cream.
Right.
I want to go to McDonald's. I want to go to Bojangles. Whatever it is.
Right. But no, I
Grown
think
people,
that's
you got to kind of figure them out. I don't got time for that.
no, I get it. I get it. And I think, I look at it and say, if you in a partnership, a real partnership with your wife, with your spouse, whatever that may look like, then you're gonna do the things together, but you also gonna understand from a mental health standpoint that, hey, I know you need your time too, right? You need your time to reset, and that's how me and my wife are, is that we have an understanding, that things can't get overwhelming. We have two kids. We got my daughter plays soccer. She's about to start running track. She's got a busy schedule, right? And then you got my son who is on the spectrum, who is in school from 8 to 5 or, 9 to 4, whatever the case may be. But he got different therapies he has to go to. So it's pick up, drop off. We're sharing responsibilities. But I think people don't like each other anymore. And that's why you see the divorce rate the way that it is when it comes to special needs families. So if you're not really sitting down and having these conversations, then not only are you're failing at your marriage, but you're failing at your family dynamic, right?
Hmm.
Because AJ didn't ask to be here. Sir
That's
William didn't
right.
ask to be here. We're the adults. We have to figure it out,
That's
right?
right.
And if we don't, then if our best scenario is for us not to be together, then we still got to figure out how we're going to come up with the best dynamic for this family, how we're going to
Hmm.
support, how we're going to be there, how we're going to, show up. Like all these things still come into play. So you can get divorced or you got the ones that just disappear. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot of people that, they say dads aren't there, they don't show up, they don't do this. Like, okay, there's some moms out there that don't do nothing either. So this it may not be equal, but at the same time, let's all put it on the table and stop
It's
dividing it and making
I,
it
I
seem
just
like
I
it's just
just I just
men.
I just think they do that because it's easier to do it that way because so many men have walked away, maybe more than women have walked away. I
It's more
mean,
common
exactly. I mean, even if you look at football, basketball, whatever sport it is, it could be a two-parent household, and the athlete will still say, "Hey, mom," and the dad just sitting there like, "Boy,
because they see mom every day.
yeah."
They see mom every day. Dad got to travel. Dad in different cities. Like, yeah, totally get it. It's understandable, but I
I mean,
think
man,
it's
you had this
more
conversation.
widespread
I believe it was earlier this week. Like, yo, like I don't have an issue with it, but why is Mother's Day like? It seems like it's like it's broadcasted like a national holiday. Like you see all the commercials, you see the songs on the radio, you hear
Yep.
all that stuff. If you don't get reservations in a certain amount of time, you're not gonna get a reservation. Father's Day, you hear Papa was a Rolling Stone and Dance with My Father Again.
Yeah.
Those are the only two songs you hear, and you can walk in damn near any restaurant you want to get a reservation. Tell me I'm lying.
You ain't lying. Unfortunately, you ain't lying.
You getting a
But
tool belt. You getting a tool belt.
you might
Getting a
get your feet
tool
rubbed
belt.
or a barbecue pit or a barbecue pit or 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 some underwear. Underwear and socks
Man.
is the thing that I saw a lot of,
And
you
I'm,
know.
I guess I'm saying that, dad, biological dad, stepdad, whatever you are, I just feel like we should be celebrated. And the ones that deserve it should be celebrated more than what they are. Now, I'm not talking about the deadbeats who find out that their kid got a diagnosis or, they decide they don't want to be there no more and walk away from their kid. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. I'm talking about the men who actually doing what they need to do, no matter if you biological or stepdad.
Right.
You fulfill the role.
Right. And I think that's what we're here for, right? And I think is who's checking on us because I feel like as a man we don't check on each other enough, and so
Mhm.
the village is about really it's therapy. I say this all the time, but it really is but it's also building your village and building your community. It's better to be able to talk to somebody that's going through something that's similar, right?
Mhm.
I can call you, we talk for hours, bro. Our
Mhm.
first conversation about everything. You know what I mean? So sometimes it don't always have to be about autism. Sometimes it don't
Right.
always have to be about our child. It's
Just
just that
just just having a safe place to vent and,
just
get some
having a
stuff off
safe
your
space to
chest. That's
talk,
it.
bro. You need that because like I said, we compartmentalize very well. And so just think about it. You're throwing all those things into a bucket and it just gets to a point to where it just overflows and you just move it to the back of your brain and you try not to think about it. And as soon as somebody pops that balloon, bro, you explode.
Mhm.
And then we looked at as a bad guy because we not talking about our feelings. We not talking about all the things that we going through.
Or
So
if we are, we don't feel like we're being seen or heard. I think that's what pops that balloon too.
and that's what it brought me to to the question is who's really checking on who? Are we checking on each other as men enough to
I don't think so.
so I think with it's mental health month and it's like I was talking to my producer earlier and he was like he didn't even realize it was Men's Mental Health Month
Mm.
because you're just not seeing a lot. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like you're not like you see with autism awareness, you see a lot, right? You see breast
See
cancer
it a lot
awareness,
now because I
you
think I
see a
think
lot
it's
now. You
I
see a
think
lot
it's the
now.
cool thing to do or cool thing to say, in my
It's a hot
opinion.
topic. It's
Yeah.
a trending topic, right?
Mhm.
But, from a man's perspective, it's not popular. Men's mental health is not popular. It's not men don't deserve to be seen, men don't deserve to be heard. Like, we got the highest rate in the world. I think it's like 80% when it comes to suicide. There's a man killing himself every day. And just think about the numbers. That multiplies. So on the hour, on the minute, on the second, there is a man that has decided to take his own life. Why? Because they have the weight. We carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. And when we don't talk about something, these are the things that we see.
Mhm.
This is why it's 80%. But we can't get the visibility about our mental health. Come on, man. Make it make sense, bro. So I think we have to take it a step further as men. That's why we created this is hey, fellas, we gotta stop hiding. We gotta stop hiding and start coming out of the woodworks and really talking about what it is. Find your community, find your people that you can talk to. If it ain't a psychiatrist, if it ain't, a family member, like you have to find somebody. Cause
Well,
we
well,
can't keep losing good people.
can I say this to you real quick then?
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I have my reasons why I believe it is. I'm not saying that it's right because I was guilty and raised to have this mind before I matured, obviously, and had a child and things of that nature.
Right.
As you know, that's how we were raised. So it's ingrained in your mind. And then, you kind of scared to, I mean, thankfully, I don't have this problem, but there's a lot of men out there who want to talk to their girl, fiance, wife, whoever that is, but they don't want to because they're scared that it's going to be thrown back in their face. What they tell
Man,
them.
bruh. Hey, keep going, man. Keep going, cause I'm just shaking my head, cause it is you spit nothing but facts, bro. You really are. It's
I'm
judgment,
not
right?
telling you what I think, man. I'm telling you what I know.
But nah, it's real though. Like it's really real. I mean, let's be honest. Like these are thoughts that we think about daily. It's like if I tell my wife this, then what? Like, is she really
Hmm.
gonna understand what I'm saying, or is she gonna try to hold this against me? And not saying directly, our wives, but as men, we think about that. Is she gonna hold this
Hmm.
against me, or is she
Hmm.
gonna try to call me weak, or is she gonna try to
Hmm.
call me soft?
Hmm.
So it's like
Hmm.
you just go about your business. You
And
just say, you
social
know
media
what?
don't.
I ain't
I
gonna talk
mean,
about it.
depending on what type of young lady that you have in your life, social media don't make it no better because there's a lot of social media people that frown against that. Like, if he start telling me about his problems or the stuff he got going on, I don't care about that. Make the money and shut up. So if you
So
have if you have somebody in your life who's easily influenced, you
yeah,
definitely ain't gonna say nothing about her
yeah,
friends, family, social media, whatever it is.
right. And I think you have to look at it, and respect and really understand that your situation, our situations they're not
Very
ideal,
unique,
bro.
very
They're
unique
very
and
unique.
blessed.
We're blessed. You know what I mean? But there are brothers out here that are going through that.
That's
You
why
know
I
what I'm
brung it
saying?
up.
So it's a lot to to really ponder on and really think about because we do have kids on the spectrum and we've talked
Mhm,
about it, endlessly to the point to where, our lives are different than what somebody may go through with a non-neurodivergent child. You know what I'm saying? Because everything's heightened. Everything is
mhm.
is at a different level and it's nonstop. Whether your kids level one or level 3 on the spectrum. You know what I'm saying? Like, we all have different lives, bro.
Right.
We all dealing with different things. Like, we are blessed. My son don't bash his head on the window or bash his head on the ground, but there are kids out here that do that, and their parents are dealing with this. Can you imagine? I've talked to them, and they're like, it's not easy. So, as men, we have to really get to a point to where we can just come together and just have, a sit down and a conversation about what it is that autism dads and autism families go through versus anybody else. And it's not
Yeah, I think
excluding
it's
anybody. It's just the reality of it is this is a very niche subject.
well, that's why when I do reach out to you, that's why I'll always express my gratitude for, what you've done, particularly with what you did with the fathers for Father's Day, giving them that outlet to speak and have a voice. And as you know, there's some people that are further along in the autism journey maybe than others. So, I would love to continue to for us to figure this out together. And maybe one of these times I can get out to Dallas and we can have a panel discussion and get some dads up there and,
Yeah.
and get some therapists involved and
Yeah.
whoever else
And
need to
you
be involved and really kick it and have a powwow.
Nah, I think so. I mean, you're speaking of, the Village Network, the Dad Link Up that we had here in Dallas a few weeks ago, and it was a good turnout, bro. It was needed, and the conversation, after was just, damn, bro, you don't realize how much I needed that.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I really needed to have just a moment, a couple hours around good people that are like-minded and are going through some of the same things that we're going through, and we can just brush off ideas, back and forth to each other, or we can just kick it, bro. That's what it
I
was.
mean that. That's what all of our great leaders did. If even if you think back through history, man, they took their own experiences and created something to make sure or to ease the burden of people coming after us to make sure they don't have to deal with some of the pain that we've dealt with.
Right.
But we've dealt with it alone. You know what I mean? That's why I created the AJ and the Cool Kids Foundation during COVID. That's why I created the wall. That's why I created the gala to celebrate families, and I'm actually going to celebrate two caregivers that
Okay.
work with kids with autism. That's why I wrote my book. That's why I do my dad discussions now. All that stuff is from my own personal experiences to give other fathers an outlet to express themselves because I didn't have that. I didn't feel that I had that. I'm sure I could have talked to someone, but as you said, earlier in your point that you can talk to someone, but it's, if they're not going through or they don't understand what you're going through, they really can't empathize with how you feel versus
at
if I
all.
call you, I can say, Will, this is what's going on, this is how I feel. And we really can have a deep intellectual conversation about it, and you understand how I feel and where I'm coming from, and give me some insight on how to handle that.
Absolutely. And I think those are the things that you look at as value, right? That's a word that I believe strongly is needed. You know, you gotta have value in your life, bro. You gotta have people
Mm-hmm.
that are assets to your life. Your circle has to be that much stronger to the point to where it's no more time for just fun and games, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's we can have fun, but can you bring value to my life?
That's
Are
right.
you adding or subtracting to my life? Is my mental health stronger with or without you? You know what I mean? Like those are decisions that we're making at this age and this stage in our lives is that we have to find, and we're finding that in strangers, right? You know, that's how we got connected, you know. So I look at that, and the Village Network, the dad link up, it's about dads, but it's about families, right? It's about, because in order for a family to really be successful, you need what? You need your dad, you need the head, the protector to be 100% sound, 100% on board, 100% mentally there, 100% physically there, right? In order to go through this journey that you're going through in life. And so that's why we created this, is that, it's the head and not the tail. But if the head ain't working, bro, the tails is gonna do this,
Mhm.
and it's not gonna be aligned. So I think, what we're doing, what you're doing with your book. And Tony, I tell you this, I bring it up all the time. Like, I want to create the link up in Charlotte. You know what I'm saying? Because I know with some dads out there. You got your discussion with the book. Why not, bro? Like, this ain't just for us. In Dallas, like, we need this worldwide, dog. And I'm just saying that because of the people that I talk to, the people that have reached out to me, whether it be from Florida, California. Like, it's so many men that have reached out, like, bro, what you're doing is so essential because we don't have that space. So this is me creating a space for us, by us, to be vulnerable, for us to build a circle of brothers, so they can be stronger for their families, right? So, those little things, man, we just getting started, bro. And I think, having you on board with the pod, man, is going to be it's gonna take us to the next level, right? Because I think we have a lot of things that are in common, a lot of things that are aligned, not just mentally, spiritually, but again, we're strangers, bro, that have become family. And that's what I want to, portray. And it's raw and it's authentic because, we just don't have enough of that. We really don't, man. And I'm so glad you decided to join, man, because like I said, I think there's a lot of great things that we can do, not just through your foundation, but through mine as well, and start bringing more awareness to what it is that we want to get accomplished for fathers.
Absolutely.
Well, man, man, it's been good to catch up with you, bro. I think we got a lot of other stuff to talk about, man, and we'll get into it. We got some guests potentially coming up. We talked a little bit about, single parents. There's some dads out there, bro, that reached out to me that are caregivers for their kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, so we just getting started on these topics, man. We got a lot to continue to build on. But fellas, take care of your mental, man. Take care of your cheese, man, because, without you, families aren't strong enough. We need more fathers and families to continue to build out through these journeys, man, because it's not easy. So, Antonio, I appreciate you, dog.
Yes,
And
sir. Appreciate you.
let everybody know about your book real quick. So if they want to go purchase it, let them know, and then we'll drop some links and stuff like that where they can purchase it. Once we get done.
Uh, it's called Father's Voice, raising a son with autism. It's on Instagram, and I also have my gala coming up for people in the North Carolina area. It's at the Caramount Health Center from 7 to 11. We're just the theme is Great Gatsby. So you come in your tux and
Okay.
let's celebrate.
Getting
And
suited and booted.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
getting the
sir.
mask
Grown
too? Is
man.
that the one with
Grown
the little
man.
mask too?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're gonna have to pull up. You said it's in August, right? Man,
Yeah.
we got
It's
so much
August
stuff going
8th.
on,
It's
bro.
August 8th.
Ah, dog.
It's
Okay.
August 8th.
All right. And you said you can get the book on Amazon as well?
Amazon. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It's on Amazon.
Okay.
I'll send you the links and I'll send you the flyer. I'll send you the flyer for the gala too.
Okay.
And
Sounds
if
good, bro.
if you able to come, let me know and I'll put you on the guest list and you can just sit with me. You just all you gotta do is get here and I got you.
I got you. I got you. That's a bet, man. Well, hey, y'all go check out the Village Network, thevillage.org. We got the new site up, man. Got some it was under construction, but we got some good things. The dad link up, got some resources out there. Shout out to our sponsors, the Autism Dad Club, Dads Figuring It Out, BWS Academy, and last but not least, Tribe Called Dads, man, because they were our first sponsor, man, that has got a really strong relationship, man, we built with their brother over there. Y'all
Shout out to
continue to
those
support
dads,
that as
man.
well.
I follow all those sponsors that you
Yeah,
have and
yeah,
Tribe
yeah,
Called Dad stuff is dope, man.
it's
I
dope,
like your
man.
stuff a
It's
lot.
dope. So, fellas, y'all continue to tap in with us, man. We appreciate it. This has been an episode 11. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.